Welcome, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more minutes to allow everybody to join. And as soon as we... Yes, please, Ashlyn, yes. Yeah. Okay, it's 2:01, and I guess more people will join soon. But we can get started on introductions to respect everybody's time who's joined us now. So first of all, welcome Ashlyn, welcome David, and thank you very much for volunteering to do these two sessions for us today. And I see our Dean of Management, Dean of Science, Dr. Zoic, VP External and International, AVP Research. Welcome and thank you for taking out time to be a part of this event. And I see some students have already joined. A faculty member is also here, Dr. Liu. So once again, welcome everyone. So our last year's program, Innovation Launchpad at Q, was our first one at Concordia University of Edmonton. And it was a success. All students had good learning outcomes, and we had learnings as well. So this year, the new program, the 2020-2021, we're hoping to make it more better. And I am delighted to kick off the event with all of you today. So without any further delay, I will introduce our first speaker, Ashlyn, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Sun, a very fast-growing IT company in Edmonton. She has a PhD in medicine, and I'm so intrigued to know what the journey has been from science to being the CEO of an IT company. Glad to have you here, Ashton, and please, the stage is all yours now.
All right. Thank you for that introduction, Isha, and thank you to you all and to Isha and Dave in particular for thinking to invite me here to chat a little bit about my experience. I'm just going to present my screen. And how is this coming through? I can't see anyone anymore. I just see my screen. So is there the word hi?
Yes, yeah, it's looking good, Ashlyn.
Perfect. I'm gonna get going then. So hello, everyone. Really nice to be here today. I'm gonna try to talk at you for 20, 25 minutes of the allotted half hour we have here, and then I would love to learn a little bit more about you, the perspectives you all come from, answer any questions from what Isha has sent me in advance. This is a really interesting initiative and really interesting ideas you all are working on. So would love to hear a little bit. And I do apologize that I do have to leave at 2:30, but I look forward to watching the video afterwards of the other sessions. So a disclaimer up front. I'm going to share sort of my opinions and experiences with you today. I kind of see it as I've walked along the beach and I've picked up some pretty rocks and shells and maybe a dead fish skeleton or two that were interesting to me. I will be sharing you all those with you today, but someone else has probably picked up a different collection of rocks and shells. So I don't claim that this is the be all end all. It is just, some ideas and experiences that I've gathered along my journey, and I hope they're interesting to you today. What I'm going to cover is how I ended up here. It's been a bit of a squiggly line. What building a startup is really like, again, from my opinion and what I've learned, in my roles. All the CEOs were busy today, I guess. So you got me. I'm a chief operating officer, so I'm sort of the right hand to the CEO. I've had the opportunity to work directly with many founders over the years, many CEOs and executive teams. I've seen successes and failures. So just sharing some tips and tricks I've learned and really trying to answer the question, how do you know if entrepreneurship is a good fit for you, if building a startup is a good fit for you, or some other options that you might consider, and how you can really drill down into what's right for you. Hopefully you get something out of this, or at least laugh at the meme I made, which I'm sure you're all excited to see what that's all about. So quick, I guess, briefly my journey. That was me in the science lab. So as Isha mentioned, I do have a PhD from the U of A in lab medicine. So started out my career thinking that a career as a research scientist was a good fit for my personality and my interests. And that was really an amazing adventure, living on sort of the cutting edge of what's known in the universe is a really neat place to be, and I think has some really interesting parallels with building startups and entrepreneurship. But by the end of my time at the U of A, I realized that I wanted to be involved in something that was a little bit more real world and providing value, not in the span of decades. It was a little slow for my personality. So after some introspection, I went to business school. I got my MBA in entrepreneurship and innovation from the U of A, which really opened my eyes to that side of innovation and actually building things and bringing them to market and to people. I spent more time at the U of A. I kind of did every degree, and I was involved, the GSA, that's the Graduate Students Association. I was their president for a year. They finally told me that it was time to leave, but then I somehow wrangled a job at the U of A. So I ran the U of A Alumni Venture Mentoring Service, now known as the Threshold Impact Venture Mentoring Service. I was the inaugural manager there, and that was really my first taste of working with entrepreneurs. It's an entrepreneurial mentorship program, and after 2.5 years of building the VMS program, I kind of got the bug and wanted to cross the aisle and actually join a startup. Since then, I've worked for a handful of startups. These are all venture capital backed, technology-based organizations. I've been in operational roles at all of them. And since 2017, I've been Chief Operating Officer at Samdesk, which is where I am today. Super briefly, what we do here at SAM is we use artificial intelligence to detect emergency and disruptive events based on social media chatter, news feeds online. If there is, for example, a shooting in a public place, often that finds its way onto the internet before it's on the news. So we sell that awareness and that knowledge to our customers, whether it be, a multinational organization, a government, a school district. They kind of need to know what's going on as soon as it happens, and we provide them with that knowledge and awareness. So the message here is, this was not my plan. I didn't sit down in 2010 and say, what is my 10-year plan and where do I want to be in 10 years? I want to be chief operating officer at a startup. It kind of, for lack of a better word, just happened. And I think that brings me to my first message for you all today, is just because you didn't put something in your plan doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And I think I've learned over the years to embrace that mentality of, like, why not? And there's been several opportunities that have turned out in retrospect to be turning points in my career, or opportunities that were linchpins. And working at venture mentoring service would be an example where initially, when the opportunity was brought to me, it was like, no, like, I've been at the U of A forever. I don't want to do something like this. But luckily, given some time to reflect and think, thought maybe this could actually be something that's really cool. So I think these are real things that exist. I think plans can sometimes serve as blinders, and you end up only really focusing on, this is my 5-year plan. This is what, I've said I want to be when I grow up. So this is the route I have to take, where, you never know what might be creeping around the corner that's going to potentially be a life-changing opportunity, or an opportunity to really learn new things, or push yourself, that is often too easy to ignore because you have these blinders on. I don't know where you can buy these if that's something you're interested in, but a quick internet search should suffice. So now that I've been working for startups for the last 5 years, I want to share a little bit about what working for a startup is like. What is a startup compared to some of the different opportunities people might consider? So I kind of look at it as something like this. It is a one-way ticket to Mars. It's something that is exciting. It's scary. There's no roadmap. There's no recipe as to this is how it's going to go. This is, what your job description is. It's very much shooting from the hip and making it up as you go. But there's so much excitement and potential, and I'll talk a lot more about this. It's not for everyone, but something that I wanted to differentiate based on some of the ideas that you all are working on is just some of the difference between what I'm going to talk about today and my perspective with working for startups versus lifestyle business. They're both really exciting adventures. They're both entrepreneurial, but there's some key differentiators between the two that I think are important as you assess your idea and your life stage and what might be a better fit for you. And this is, again, generally speaking, if you, there are professors of entrepreneurship on this call. If you disagree with this, that's totally fine. This is just my thoughts, and you can give me lectures later on what the difference really is. But generally speaking, startups have aspirations to scale globally, whereas generally lifestyle businesses are more local or regional, at least to start. Startups generally leverage technology to scale rapidly and reach customers across the world, whereas lifestyle businesses generally leverage technology for profit margins, and their customers are more accessible locally or regionally. At a startup, growth is priority, whereas at a lifestyle business, profit is priority. And at a startup, we sacrifice profit for growth. So you're investing all of your revenue back into growing your business, because growth is the top priority. And that's primarily because you will likely require external investment, and your external investors will likely want you to focus on rapid growth and global scaling versus early profitability. Lifestyle businesses can generally be bootstrapped or leverage more traditional financing vehicles such as bank loans, lines of credit, that sort of thing. Startups, again, will likely not be profitable early on, whereas lifestyle businesses likely aim to achieve profitability as soon as possible. If this isn't obvious already, startups are generally very high risk, whereas lifestyle business are lower risk. But there is a potential for higher monetary rewards with a startup versus a lifestyle business where it's lower or long-term high value reward. So the second key message here is that a startup is a special type of adventure, the one-way ticket to Mars, with high risk but potentially high reward. So with that all being said, in the second half here, I just want to dig into a little bit of how you know if that road is a fit for you versus other opportunities or options to build, scale, and grow your business. So here's my meme, and I think this is just, in a meme, demonstrating something that I think sort of the entrepreneurial personality is. There's always that draw to, in a sense, failure and rejection versus the stability and predictability that might exist with some other paths. So how to know if building a startup is right for you? Well, do you enjoy failing? Also known as learning. Feeling clueless and not really knowing what you're doing. Again, there's no recipe, there's no manual. You are making it up as you go. Do you enjoy no one understanding what you do? My parents still have no idea what I do as a career. And I think generally the public doesn't really understand, outside of maybe what they might see in a movie or TV show, what building a startup is all about. Making it up as you go and losing money. Losing money is a reality if you want to build a startup, because as I said, you are sacrificing profit for growth. And at the end of a year, your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement will say you lost so much money this year. And your investors are going to want to know, okay, but at what return? How fast did you grow? How much did your revenue grow by? How many more customers did you bring on this year? So with that all being said, do you also enjoy building things that can change the world? Do you enjoy learning every single day? Do you enjoy working with innovators and creatives? Do you enjoy living on the absolute bleeding edge of what's possible? And that's where my analogy to my earlier chapter as a scientist really holds true, is do you enjoy operating in this realm of uncertainty and not knowing, what tomorrow's going to bring, or what, the path looks like even a few months ahead? You are living on the edge of what is known and what is possible in the world. And that can be really exciting and really scary. Potentially making lots of money, potentially. And, once I started this list, I could kind of just go on and on, because I love all of these things and I love working for startups. So a couple more points here. Having a super high degree of autonomy. You don't really have a boss in a sense. You are the master of your own domain, and it's up to you, and ultimately the buck falls on you. Do you enjoy moving fast and experimenting without the need for layers and layers of approval? So at a startup, generally speaking, you can have someone come up with an idea on Monday, and by Friday, that can be either in the hands of customers or a prototype built. Things move really, really, really quickly. Do you enjoy being part of a great community? And we do have a really great innovation and startup community here in Edmonton. And meeting insanely brilliant people that are incredibly inspirational because they also believe in all of these things I've talked about here: innovating, building, experimenting, failing forward. So essentially, as a startup entrepreneur working for a startup, you have a very high degree of control over some things. You have a lot of autonomy, and ultimately you are making decisions, but you have zero control over other things. And I think this is just really amplified. This is the case in, many different types of organizations or roles, but in a startup, I think it's particularly true because you are sort of in this crucible, and things are moving really, really quickly. The trick is to try and focus on what you can control and try to not spend as much time and energy worrying about what you can't or what's out of your hands. And again, this is something that applies to many different situations and potentially life in general. But I think it's particularly important for someone who's going to build a company to keep in mind. Quick note here. I've seen this. Don't build a startup because you think it's going to make you rich or it's glamorous, or you see, Elon Musk on Twitter or whatever. It is not glamorous. It is an emotional roller coaster. I've, worked really closely with CEOs, and I've been by their side when we've gone through ups and downs, and it is an emotional journey. As a founder, as a CEO, you are invested head, heart, and soul into this, and it is not glamorous. You pay the price, and don't think it's going to make you rich, because chances are it will not. So you have to enjoy the journey and really be bought into, the other learnings and value of building something outside of the potential monetary return. So here's a list of, again, things to help you determine if building a startup is right for you. So if these sound familiar, you might be suited for a startup. Looking through the world through the lens of, why is it done that way? That could be better, that could be faster, that could be more accessible to more people, that could be done cheaper. Always looking through the world through that lens of skepticism and wanting to change things and seeing things for having more potential. Seeing that the world looks like X, but why can't it look like Y? Why can't we utilize the powers of the internet or social media to solve this problem that I see? I see a future where blank, and I don't understand where no one else seems to. So I see a future where people use the internet to communicate with friends and families far away. At some point, someone or several people had that thought, and they've built, they've left probably 10,000 people behind who had the same thinking and weren't able to execute, but all are entrepreneurs and saw the world in a way of what it could be versus what it is. I want to be surprised every day, even by bad shit. If you need control and predictability and need to know exactly what your week's going to look like or your year, entrepreneurship or working at a startup might not be the best fit for you, because there is a lot of surprises, and that gets back to sort of this idea of knowing what you can control and what you cannot, and trying to focus on what you can, because there's a lot that you cannot control. Don't tell me what to do. Get out of my way. I'm going to do it anyway. And here's, an entrepreneur saying, no, I want to do what I want. I don't want to wait to ask for permission. I don't want to wait for a stamp of approval from 10 levels up. I want to, address this problem that I see in the world. I want to make this change that I think the world needs, and get out of my way. So the third of four, it's not for everyone. And that's okay. There are lots of other really interesting, impactful, fulfilling things that people can do with their careers. And I think a big part of the journey of deciding what is the best fit for you is about doing a little bit of, soul searching and knowing yourself and knowing what you enjoy and what you value, and just what is the best fit for where you're at. So with that all being said, I wanted to end with just a couple points on how to deal with all of this, because I've talked about how hard it is and it's an emotional roller coaster, and you have no certainty and you're probably not going to make any money. So how do you deal with all of that? If in your heart you are an entrepreneur and this is something you're going to pursue, there are different tools that I've seen help entrepreneurs and founders use to deal with all of that uncertainty and upheaval. Biggest thing, and this is something that is paramount to us at SAM, you got to have a team you trust, a team that has your back, that you can commiserate with. You're going to be in the trenches. You're going to be on that roller coaster with these people. So bringing in co-founders, leadership team members that you trust and that also fit a lot of that criteria around being entrepreneurial, because it's not just the founder that has to have some of those qualities. I think the entire, at least leadership team, needs to believe in a lot of those same values and principles. Are you on the same page with all of that? Transparency, communication, and humility. These are just a few things that I think feed into that first point that are really important when building that trust with your team. Good partners, and here I'm referring to, you might have legal counsel, you might have accountants or different granting partners that you work with. You really need to have good partners. And I think, to one of my later points, the best way to find those good partners is to get referrals from people that you trust in the community. Identifying and mitigate risks. So I talked a lot today, and it seems like entrepreneurship is for people who love risk, but I think it's actually best suited for those who love to identify and mitigate risk, right? It's not about I love to sit up all night and not sleep because I don't know if I'm gonna make payroll next month. It's about recognizing that and figuring out how are we going to mitigate that risk that I've identified, and really loving that process. Support system, this is huge. And it's not just about, having family or friends that can provide potentially financial support or help out if things get tough, but emotional support for your mental health, having people who are going to be there for you and talk through things or distract you is absolutely key. And joining this community. So here is one way, or one sort of easy, low barrier entry point, is joining the YEG startup Slack channel. It's at almost 900 people. It is a Slack group for anyone and everyone who is interested in technology and innovation in Edmonton. Don't care if you're a student, a founder, a service provider, an academic. If this is a space you're interested in, it's a really cool place to be and just learn about what everyone else is doing, ask for advice, recommendations, hear about different events that are happening, that sort of stuff. And this is just a quote that I really like from Sheryl Sandberg, who's a COO at Facebook. If you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask which one, just get on. And I think that is the mentality that I've built over a few years of being asked to get on a few rocket ships and getting on, and haven't made it to Mars yet, but maybe someday. That brings me to my last point here. Sort of sums it all up. If a lifestyle business or a more traditional stable job is a better fit for your personality, your life stage, your personal situation, or your business idea, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Building a startup and entrepreneurship is just one path. And I think because of what is involved in that path, it's really important to be confident before you go down it, that it is a good fit for you and where you're at in life. So take the time to assess all of that and be deliberate about that choice. Don't just walk into it because it seemed like something that was neat or that would be cool to tell your friends, or you're going to make a lot of money. Be deliberate about that because it's a fit for you and where you're at and what you're wanting to build. You can always change your mind later. That idea will always be there. That is it. Hopefully I left time for a couple questions. I'm going to stop sharing here. Everyone's still here?
Thank you, Ashlyn. That was a really, really good talk. And we hear about those things, but it's very useful to hear it from a person who's lived this life. And our program, this is very appropriate because Innovation Launchpad at Q is a program where we encourage our students to take that risk, take that chance, assess themselves, and choose if they want to go path A or path B. So thank you very much for doing that, for sharing your thoughts. If anybody has any questions, please either write them in the chat window or unmute your mic and please go ahead and ask Ashlyn anything you want to.
Hey, Ashlyn. Thanks a lot for doing that. That was a fantastic talk. Just wanted to ask, so did you have like kind of a pivotal moment or like somebody that kind of got you onto this journey at some point?
Yeah.
What was your starting point there?
Sure. I think there's been a couple pivotal moments, but the one that sticks out in my mind is when I was working at the U of A, running the VMS program and getting to know all of these really inspiring entrepreneurs. Started to kind of feel like maybe this is something I want to go and do. And I had, the stable job at the U of A with all the benefits and, could have sat there for 10 years, I'm sure. But the chair of the VMS program, Dr. Ray Musica, approached me at one point and said, I think you might be done here and ready to move on. And I'm an investor in this great company, and I think you might be a fit for them. And I said, awesome. Like, that sounds super exciting. What more can you tell me? Like, I'm in. This is what I want to do. And he said, well, they're based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I thought, I've never been east of Montreal. Like, absolutely not. My family's here. My partner's here. Not a chance. Is this happening? But I took my blinders off and I moved to Halifax, and it was a year with so much learning and like no regrets. It was amazing. But that, I think, was a moment where I realized you have to let go of that. No, this wasn't my plan. My plan was not to move to Halifax and join like a failing startup, but I did, and it was great. So I think that's a moment that definitely sticks out.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think, it just really speaks to, any of us here, like within the Concordia community, faculty and staff, like just having that ability to identify people that we see as, promising talent and really let them know that we believe in them and support them in doing something special if they want to do it.
It means a lot to get that vote of confidence, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm checking the...
I don't have any questions, but all good comments from Manfred, Ramses, Patrick, and Doreen. And I totally agree with all of them. And I would really want you to speak, if you can, Ashlyn, on Doreen's comment here, that it's amazing that you talked about being an entrepreneur does not mean you're going to be a millionaire. And this is a scare that some people say, hey, you're going to lose money, you want to be a millionaire, don't do a business. What can you share any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's the story that's perpetuated in the media, is of these like billionaire entrepreneurs. You don't hear the story of all of, those brilliant, hardworking entrepreneurs who put it all on the line and were not successful. You don't hear about that. And there are 1,000 of those stories for every one success story that you hear. So I think it's just so critical to go into a venture with your eyes open to that and with a mentality of, if I fail, because the statistics show you are probably going to fail, that you're okay with that and that you still see value in going through that process of learning and experimenting and experiencing some success and some failure, that you still see it as worth it. You almost have to assume you're going to fail You still want to try to succeed, right? Do your best, but you almost have to go through that thought process of, if I fail, will it still be worth it? Is this something I still want to do, even if at the end I'm, not Elon Musk? And if the answer is yes, then keep thinking about it, and that's one box you might want to check.
Thank you very much. If there are no more questions for Ashlyn, then I would thank you once again and virtually clap. I don't know if anybody can hear, but it is. And thanks again. And once we are through this program, I'll definitely invite you back to see the outcomes of this program. And have a good rest of your day.
No, thank you all so much for hearing me out and seeing my collection of seashells and rocks that I've picked up over the years. Hopefully there's something interesting to you in there, and best of luck to you all in what you're building. I'm really excited to see what comes out of this program. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashlyn.
So now we'll move on to the second presenter, or the workshop that we have planned for today, second presenter and the workshop. It's my pleasure to introduce David Baida, who is the small business strategist with Business Link Alberta. He's been Business Link Alberta for as long as I can remember. I've been in Edmonton for 5 years, and I've always seen his name come up, have seen him at events doing a great job. He has extensive business knowledge covering areas like startup planning, trend research, business model canvas, crowdfunding, and so on. So very happy to have you here, David, and the stage is all yours now.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks so much for that great introduction. And yeah, it's been great, some great learning from our previous presenter, Ashlyn. So great. So thanks again for having me here. I'm just going to share my slides here. So let me just see if I can figure that out. Okay. And then let me know if you can see the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, we can.
You can? Okay, perfect. I'm just going to move a couple things over here. Give me 1 second again. Try that again. Okay, perfect. So there, hopefully everyone can see. Am I good to go? Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, today I'm going to be chatting all about startup steps. Or maybe I should just back up a little bit and just do a very brief intro. I've been with Business Link for about 12 years now, working one-on-one with entrepreneurs across Alberta. So I've worked with thousands of small businesses, all different levels of startup, and all different industries. I've also ran my own businesses in the past, doing several side hustles. I ran a handyman business that I grew as well, kind of on the side. And I'm just launching my own business as well, an online business this time around. So that's a little bit about me. For our presentation today, we're going to be chatting a bit about kind of the fundamentals of what it takes to actually start a business, to legally operate. And I'll also be going through some of the additional things that you might need to think of in order to hopefully be successful with your venture. And if anyone does have any questions throughout, definitely feel free to let me know, or we can wait until the end as well. I'm good either way. Perfect. So I just briefly want to mention a bit about Business Link, who we are and what we do, because we might be able to help you along in your journey. So we're Alberta's entrepreneurial hub. And again, we've been around since 1996. And we support entrepreneurs in all stages of business, from startup to growth, to even succession planning as well. In terms of our service delivery, we offer one-on-one free support, guidance, and advice through our business strategists. So that's a free service that we do offer to anyone here in Alberta. We also offer free market research if you're looking for secondary data. We put on tons of webinars on all different topic areas, and can even connect you with experts like lawyers and accountants for a subsidized rate. We offer specialized program areas as well. One of our core service areas is our Indigenous services. And we also offer services to newcomers and immigrants as well, through some of those specialized programs. Okay, so the 4 steps that you need to actually get your business up and running and going. So really the first step, the most critical one, is registering your business name and choosing your business structure. And really this kind of determines how your business is going to be taxed, who's going to be liable should anything happen, and how you're also going to be paid with the business. And really there's 3 main types that we'll go through. First, sole proprietorship. So when I first learned about these, I learned about it in school, and I never thought about that I'd actually have to know what these are in the future, but actually you have to choose as a business owner. I thought it was some theoretical term, but it's actually, in reality, you do have to choose which one you're going to go with. So sole proprietor, the advantage there, it's very inexpensive, very easy to get going. Ideal if you're kind of a small operation. But the drawback though is you do have unlimited liability. What that means is should anything happen, it will come to you personally. So that's something to really be aware of as you kind of get going. And again, to set up a sole proprietor, you do that at a registry office where you get your driver's license, and it's very inexpensive, so under $100 to get up and running. So the big thing is sole proprietor means that you are the business and the business is you. Just going to check to make sure if we have any questions. Nope, none yet. Perfect. So next we have partnership. So partnership, that's when you're entering into a business arrangement with 2 or more individuals. Again, the advantage here, it's very simple and very inexpensive to get a partnership up and running. But the drawback though is you have what's called, again, unlimited liability. So should anything happen, it would come back to you and any partners involved in your venture. And that's really a big one. I know lawyers have told me in the past, the only thing you need to know about partnership is never enter into them. Probably because of the liability risk and you're kind of relating it to another person, right? So again, there's a lot of risk there. You definitely have to make sure you're doing business with someone that you know and that you trust. Very inexpensive, under $100 to kind of get a partnership legally registered. And lastly, we have corporations. So corporation, the big advantage is it's a completely separate legal entity from yourself. So it's kind of like you're creating a brand new person. And the advantage here is you have what's called limited liability, which means that should anything happen, it would typically be limited to the assets held within the corporation. So that's kind of one of the big advantages. You can also issue shares in addition to that. So a bit easier if you are trying to raise capital. The drawback though, it is more expensive to form and a lot more record keeping involved with a corporation. To set up a corporation, you have a couple options. You can do it at a registry office, or you can also do it through a lawyer. That's kind of the more traditional way to make sure you're kind of doing things correctly. One other thing you'll have to do with a corporation is make sure you file your annual return every year. It's about $75 to do that at the registry. Do make sure you do this, because if not, you can get stricken off the registry, which means your corporation will cease to exist. So definitely something to look out for. You don't want to have that happening. If you want to avoid that challenge altogether, you're probably best to go through a lawyer, because they'll call you in when you need to kind of fill out some of that paperwork. And when you're registering your corporation and choosing your name, you do want to be very descriptive, very distinctive, and have the legal extension onto it. So you need kind of those 3 criteria when you are creating your corporation name. Perfect. So we have a couple of these business structures here. Again, sole proprietor, partnership, and corporation are the main ones. You can also look at forming a nonprofit or society. Also, cooperatives are another option. We won't go through those today, but just know they exist. They may want to be something that you do want to look into when you're choosing your business structure. Next, we have our step 2, which is really understanding the various government regulations that might come into effect. Well, I see we have a question. Can you please share information about business registration and corporation for people on temporary resident permit, study permit, or work permit? Ooh, that's a tough one. I won't be able to dive deep into that. Really, what I can say is you're legally able to operate a business if you're a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. If you are anything other than that, I strongly suggest checking with an immigration lawyer or consultant to make sure you can properly operate. It is kind of on a case-by-case basis due to the unique circumstances that of what your permit or work permit might be. Generally, with like a work permit, that entitles you to work, but not necessarily to own and start your own business. Again, same thing with a study permit. You're here to study, not to start your own business. It does get really, really complicated when you're diving into that. So I usually kind of refer things to those experts, immigration lawyers, who can kind of really look at your exact situation and paint that picture of what you would need to do. Perfect. And I think we have some referrals here to Amanda Thornson and Nancy Cassell from the international office. Perfect. Great. Thanks so much. So with business regulations, really, it's kind of, these are things set up by the government to protect the public, environment, and other businesses. And these come on different levels from municipal, provincial, and also federal as well. So there's different levels of government that have different impacts on, in terms of some of what those regulations are. So first and foremost, you may want to look at municipal regulations, right? Or municipal licensing. That might be if you're operating from home, like a home-based business license. That's kind of the primary one that you'd want to look into getting. And really every business will require this. So you would want to check with your local municipality to get that. Next, we have provincial regulations. So depending on your business activities, there could be provincial regulations that might need to come into effect. Generally, these would be things covered by like food and drink. So that's through Alberta Health Services, occupational health and safety hazards, employment standards. There's also unique licenses if you're prepaid contractor business license. So if you're accepting money up front at consumer residences, if you're going door-to-door sales are actually provincially licensed. So there's some unique ones, so you do want to make sure you've done your due diligence and you've looked into some of those. And we also have federal regulations, right? So again, these typically deal with consumer products, right? For mass consumption. A few examples would be things that occur through Health Canada. So it could be maybe kind of food and drug related, Canada Border Services Agency. So if you're importing products into the country or exporting, Canada Food Inspection Agency as well. There's also other laws dealing with like textile labeling. You go on and on and on. There's quite a few out there. So again, make sure you've kind of learned a bit more about your industry. And we've talked a bit about kind of municipal licensing, so we're good on that front. One other thing to think about is understanding your obligations when it comes to paying tax. Taxes could come in the form of charging GST, it could be getting a business number, and tax on your income as well. So one important thing, if you are going to be earning more than 30,000 in sales over a 12-month time frame, then you do want to make sure you are registered for GST, and you're going to be collecting GST and remitting that to the government. So that's the 5% tax that you typically see when you purchase goods out there. It is voluntary if you are under the 30,000. So it's kind of up to you whether or not you want to do that now or not. And in terms of getting a business number, generally that's issued through CRA. There's a couple criteria and accounts you would need to get. We talked about GST. If you are going to have employees, you're going to need to get payroll deductions. If you're incorporated, you're going to have to pay corporate tax. If you're importing and exporting, you're going to have to get an import-export account as well. So those are some of the main program accounts. You can call 1-800-959-5525 CRA for more information on that, or hop onto their website as well. So taxes, we all need to kind of be concerned about taxes, of course. Different people and different businesses are going to pay different rates. Really, sole proprietor and partnership, you're going to be claiming your taxes on your personal tax return. So that's your T1 that you submit every calendar year. Now, when you have a corporation, this is actually going to be issued, you're going to be filling out a T2 corporate tax return. So the corporation first and foremost will pay tax. And then it's after, if you decide to take money out of the corporation through like a dividend or a wage, that's where you'll kind of be taxed again on that. So there potentially is double taxation with the corporation that you do need to be aware of. That's why a lot of people, they're maybe not incorporating until they get kind of more sizable enough revenue to kind of pay for some of those added expenses as well. So that's some of the basics. Did we have any questions about, kind of some of the startup steps to getting up and running, getting your business legal? We do have on our website, businesslink.ca, under the starting a business section, we do have a startup checklist. If you did want to check that out as well, you're more than welcome to do that. Now, kind of looking at the 5 things you should do when starting a business, we'll kind of dive more into the planning side of things. So one of the most important things is you need to develop your value proposition. And that kind of addresses what services or products you're providing and to whom you're providing it. And I'd encourage you to really think about the problem that you're looking at solving. That kind of seems to be the fundamental question that you need to consider when launching your business is really, what is that problem? Or how do you make customers or clients' lives better? Those are the things that are going to drive people to want to purchase from you. So it's really critical to get your kind of value proposition in place. One example here I have to share is with Hey. So they kind of write in a very casual style, but you can kind of quickly understand what they're about. So email sucked for years, not anymore. We fixed it. Hey's fresh approach transforms email into something you want to use, not something you're forced to deal with. So I'm sure we can all relate to kind of some of our email inboxes overflowing, and Hey here has found a solution. And you can check out their website if you want to learn a bit more about them. But this kind of statement really captures the essence of who they are and what they're about. Next, another thing you want to do is develop a business plan. And a common question we get at Business Link is, do I need a business plan? And it really depends, right? I usually suggest having a business plan. Now, I think the more critical thing is to ensure you've done your research and homework, and you've kind of, you've just done all of that legwork, right? You don't have to necessarily have a business plan, but I want to see and know that you've kind of looked into things. And again, you've done your research. But having a business plan is really beneficial because it's kind of a reference document you can easily turn to when you have questions about operating your business. It really helps ensure, again, you've validated your business idea, you have everything concise and together. And if you're going to be looking for financing from the bank or from angel investors, venture capitalists, they're going to want to see a business plan and even a pitch deck as well. So this will help you in crafting some of those documents. So it's kind of a roadmap. Again, those are some of the main reasons you'd be using it for funders, investors, to test your idea, an action plan for yourself. And if you're going to be having business partners, it helps ensure everyone on the team is on the same wavelength to get going. So some of the main components that we have would be our, you can just read those here. So there's about 7 main components of what you'd want to have in your business plan. Tons of great examples that you can find online to craft your own. So definitely check, search online and see what you can find. Contact us. We do have some samples that you can also look at as well. Now, a couple other things you may want to look at developing. We talked about pitch deck. There are some really great tools. One of them is called Business Model Canvas. And Business Model Canvas is kind of like a one-page business plan. So who doesn't really like that, where a business plan is usually 30 to 50 pages? A Business Model Canvas is kind of like a one-page document. And a lot of people might start here, It's also called a lean canvas in some other vocabulary of what you might find. But really, it's kind of a way to structure your thoughts, and it helps you kind of look at different linkages and connections between items and things that you're putting together. On the business model canvas, there I think are 3, 6, 9 building blocks. Again, and it works through the fundamentals of all the major things that you would need to kind of put a business together. I encourage people to start here because you can kind of whip out a business model canvas in an hour. It's not going to take a ton of time. And this can really help ensure you validated your business idea and kind of look at the feasibility of it as well. So start with the business model canvas and kind of go from there. So you want to make sure you've done your market research as well. Really, this would be the focus of doing primary and secondary market research. You do want to do a combination of both of those. Primary really means you're collecting information firsthand. So you're out there doing surveys, right? Maybe using tools like SurveyMonkey. And I think you need a minimum data set of about 35 surveys is what I've heard. So definitely keep that in mind. You can also do primary research through observation. So going out and kind of staking out in real life some stores that you maybe want to learn about how many customers are going in, what the demographics of the customers consists of. That can all be done through primary market research. Secondary market research, on the other hand, is typically greater information that you're collecting, and it's information that's already out there. So you're using tools like the internet. You're looking at industry information, competitor information, demographic information, all of that. We do offer free secondary market research. So if anyone does need help with that, we can definitely do that for you. Next, step 4. So what is your financial plan? You really want to have a good idea about how much money it's going to take to start the business before you start the business. Really ensure you've looked at how much money you have to invest, how much maybe any business partners have to invest, how much money you're maybe going to be looking for, and whether that's going to be coming from lenders like the bank or other financial institutions, or if you're going to be kind of looking for angel investors, venture capitalists, that sort of thing. So a financial plan is key as well. You don't want to run out of money halfway through your business launch. So really ensure you've developed those financial statements, and you've maybe worked with an accountant to help you with that, should you need it. Again, really think about what some of those startup costs are going to be for your business. Registration is part of it, but you might need ongoing legal support, accounting support. If you're going to be leasing a space, that's typically a large cost, and also cost to have employees. So payroll is also a big expense too, but you might also need things like marketing and equipment as well to operate your business. So a couple main ways you can look at funding your business. Again, personal money, how much are you putting into the business yourself? Are you turning to other financing options, right? Loans, leasing, specialized lenders, commercial banks, or there could be other potentially some limited grant options that you could explore as well, should you meet those eligibility requirements. So again, make sure you keep track of all the money coming in, all the money going out. The worst thing that can happen is you run out of money. You have to go back to the bank. So kind of have a financial plan early on in the game. And also definitely look at where the skills gap are. It's hard to do everything yourself. So you do want to make sure you have a team around you of mentors, maybe past business owners, your advisors like your accountant and lawyer, and even friends who can maybe offer some good advice for you as you kind of get started with your business. So who is that team that's around you? So really think about kind of where everyone fits in that mix, where your skills are, and where those other individual skills are as well. So next step, definitely check out some of our resources that are out there on our website. We offer a ton of different workshops and webinars on all different topics. Definitely reach out to myself or anyone on our team. We're here to help by email and by phone, and we love to connect. And I do see there's a question here. Are there specific partners BusinessLink recommends in regards to legal marketing accounting services? So great question. We don't actually refer anyone, but on our website, if you go to our events tab, at the top of that page, you will see a volunteer list. We kind of have compiled a list of experts who have volunteered with BusinessLink. So we have experts in marketing, legal, accountants, all different human resources, you name it. So we do have that list on our website if you did want to check that out as a potential option. Perfect. So yeah, there's our contact information. And that's pretty much it. I have, I think, 1 or 2 minutes for questions. And I think I do have another question here from Cecilia. Do business access tax account documents via CRA website as we do for personal taxes? So I'm trying to understand that question. I guess when, if you're a sole proprietor or partnership, you're going to pay, when you file your personal tax return, your T1, there actually is a section on there called self-employment income, business and professional income. So that's where you're going to be declaring all revenue for your business venture on there. You're also going to declare any eligible business expenses. Whatever that difference is will be your profit. Hopefully it's positive. That will funnel into your overall tax return and you'll pay tax accordingly on that. Hopefully that answers your question there.
Thanks, David. I have a question.
Sure.
So all the services that you talked about via BusinessLink, are they for registered businesses only?
Nope. So all of our services could be for someone who's registered a business, or it could also be anyone with just a business idea. So we do offer assistance to people who are maybe just thinking about entrepreneurship. We can definitely provide some great resources that kind of goes over kind of how to evaluate your idea, some feasibility checklist too. Yeah, so we do offer services for everyone.
Great. Another follow-up question to that. So and the reason is I see a few of our School of Management or Faculty of Management colleagues here. And you said that there are free secondary research resources available via BusinessLink. So are there any, and Alison and John, please jump in if there is any other question here. But my thoughts are, if there are students who are working on a consulting project or an internship project, can they reach out to you to request those secondary research resources?
I think so. Yeah, as long as it's kind of for connected to starting a business, I don't see a reason why not. So that we could definitely pass our market research information along to. We have a form that you'd have to fill out. But we do have that on our website, or you can just contact us at BusinessLink and we can look at providing that for you.
There's one more question from Doreen.
So I have Doreen has a question. I have a question. Is a taxation different for a side hustle and a full-time business owner? I'm not an accountant, so I'll throw that out there, but I don't believe that it is. I think kind of any income that you kind of make when you're a sole proprietor, whether you're it's a side hustle business or whether it's your full-time business income, it will be taxed accordingly. So it will funnel into your overall tax return, and whatever tax bracket you fit into, that's how it will work. So if you earn income from a full-time job and have a side hustle, that income would be added on to your full-time income coming in. Versus if you're just a full-time business owner, it's whatever kind of however much your business makes will be how much tax you pay on it. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Great. There's one more question.
Yeah, one as a follow-up to Aisha, do you have a data library or survey data that students could access to? Unfortunately, the databases that we have access to are exclusively for BusinessLink access. So you'd have to go through one of our researchers in order to get that information. But again, it's free information that we can look at pulling for you. So definitely reach out should you have any questions. Great. Yeah, thanks so much, Isha, for having me here. I do have to run as well, but I want to thank you for inviting me to connect with your audience here. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two and are considering entrepreneurship and how we might be able to help you out in kind of achieving your dream.
Thank you very much, David. It's a pleasure. And we will definitely be in touch. I know last year we did the market research workshop with Business Link, and I'm hoping to, we are planning it again sometime in the new year. So we will definitely reach out to you again.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So this brings us to the end of our external speakers. And now for the next few minutes, the plan is for me to share information about Innovation Launchpad program, and then give a few minutes to all the students who made it to the kickoff session. I know there are others, but who couldn't make to this event because of their classes. But those of you who've made it here, I would request you to please introduce yourself for a few minutes and maybe perhaps share your idea that you want to pursue through Innovation Launchpad. So I'll share my screen now and give you an overview of Innovation Launchpad program before we go into meeting our superstars, that is our students. So, and a short video before we actually go into my presentation.
This is the break that I have been waiting for.
I think the biggest thing for me is showing me how persistent I can be.
If it's important to you and it really drives you and you're passionate about it, like, pursue it, because there are people out there who are going to support you and who are going to push you to be better and who want to see you succeed.
I really loved it.
Innovation Launchpad is a goal-based program for innovative leaders at Concordia, be it a student, a faculty member, or a staff member who want to advance their ideas into reality.
Innovation Launchpad works by seeking out entrepreneurs that are interested in starting a business and then running them through a very structured program to help them clearly define their business idea, what the problem is that they're solving, what the market is that they're addressing, and to kind of work out all the elements of building a business.
Having no idea really where to start, especially on such a large project, definitely helped at least like pinpoint where we needed to start, where our focus needed to be initially, and where it needed to be moving down the road.
We have a lot of sessions with professionals. There were a lot of pitching competitions.
The Innovation Launchpad introduced me to several challenges and competitions going on in Alberta. That helped me to win some prize money, which I really needed for my businesses.
Honestly, through the Innovation Launchpad, I was able to diversify and finally establish my one business that I've always wanted to do that deals with all my little quirks.
It just increased confidence and made me realize I can do this, and this is something that people want to see happen.
This gives you an idea of like, what do you really want to do and what do you like? Because that's a great way to find out like your talents and like what skills you have. Because at first I thought like, oh, I'm not interested in business. And I even got a scare from a couple of people like, don't pursue business, don't become an entrepreneur because it's very high risk. But it's like when I came here, it's like, it's different. I actually have a whole new respect for those who are like entrepreneurs, who have like small businesses. It's like great.
The goal for Innovation Launchpad is not just to create businesses year after year, but to create high impact talent that can integrate into the Edmonton's business community, add value to the economic development of Alberta, and prepare our students to be the upcoming leaders?
I just want to say thank you to the Innovation Launchpad for all the connections and for all the opportunities and funding I've received to be able to advance so much further and grow myself as a person and as a business owner.
Have hope. Don't think just because you don't think you're going to make it doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Apparently, I'm this promising student entrepreneur, and that came from not knowing what this was. So I feel like if you have that, any kind of inkling in you, just come, see where it leads you, because you never know where that path will take you.
Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed the video, and for me, it's very uplifting and inspiring to hear our students learning a lot through this program. And it's not the money that they talked about. It's not the successful business that somebody could think that in 8 months you'll have a multi-million-dollar or a successful business. No, that's not the case. The intent is to develop soft skills such as problem solving, such as critical thinking, presentation skills that our students, our Concordia members can apply anywhere in their life. So what does this program look like? It has a series of 6 workshops. We had one today, which is Startup Steps. And after each workshop, which has a specific theme, starting from ideation to actually doing some market research, validation, and then leading up to a showcase where the participants share their projects with the bigger community, the bigger innovation ecosystem in Edmonton. And with everything changing to virtual activities these days, I think the outreach will be bigger and better for the upcoming program. And after each workshop, the participants get some objectives that they have to complete before moving on to the next step. And at the end of these 8 months, the students are equipped with a toolkit that they can refer to for all different aspects of their life, be it working on a different innovative idea, be it applying to higher education or to jobs, and seeking out access to mentors or gurus who've done such things again and again and can provide their insights into advancing our Concordia members' ideas forward. So last year, we gave out $7,500 in prizes to the Innovation Launchpad participants. The most promising idea got $1,500 in the prize. There were 5 $1,000 cash prizes and 2 $500 tuition credits. We're hoping to increase this amount again this year because of the good work that we've done. And we fingers crossed, we have some more access to grants and funding this year. So some examples of ideas that went through the program last year are Read Safer. And the reason I'm showing you all this is that all ideas are welcome in this program, be it an app that encourages responsible cannabis use, or an online cabinet for upcycle personalized items, a gaming card brokerage, a rehab device, a vertical farming business, an e-commerce platform for buying and selling artistic creations, a sustainable waste management company, a platform to connect service providers, an app to connect like-minded early-stage entrepreneurs, and so on. So every idea is welcome. And in addition to the awards that our students won in-house, some of our founders won provincial competitions and were accepted into highly competitive programs. For example, JN Cards, the founder, Jason Nish, who's a Bachelor of Management student at Q, he was selected for the Student Founder Program that's run by Startup Edmonton, and only 10 students were selected from all over Edmonton. In addition, he was featured in the June 2020 Innovation issue of Avenue magazine. Other student founders and their companies also did good. For example, Gallific Arts, Study Material Online, Caw and Crow Curios, they won landing page cash prizes in landing page competition and titles like Most Promising Student Entrepreneur. So now when they go in the real world and apply for higher education and talk to investors or apply for jobs, they will have evidence of success in their resumes. So what are the benefits of this program? It's basically a toolkit. It helps our members, Concordia members, develop and advance their entrepreneurial skills, which are problem solving, critical thinking, presentations, and those are the skills you can apply anywhere in your life. The other big benefit is you get a chance to network with professionals and business leaders. So next time when you meet them, for example, if you meet Ashlyn at another event, you can say, hey, Ashlyn, I heard your talk at Innovation Launchpad. How is it going? And now actually I'm thinking of applying for a job in IT sector. Can you please take a look at my resume and tell me if there is something I need to improve on? So it's that network. It's the group of people that adds value and helps you succeed. And then it helps you work on your innovative solution, and have fun. This is, for me, the best part. You get to work on your thing and absolutely win a variety of prizes that add to enhancing your resume. So thanking our supporters here. Without them, nothing can actually happen for this program. And I will skip this slide because all of you have already joined us. But if you haven't, follow us on Instagram and join the Innovation Launchpad Q program by scanning these QR codes. And that is it. So anybody has any more questions? Any questions for me? Seeing none. And I think now would be the time I would invite our superstars, our VIPs, the students, to please turn on their cameras and take turns by introducing themselves. And I can, since I know who the students are, I know their names, I'm going to pick them randomly because I don't see there's any other way to do this. So let's start with Pedro. Pedro, are you there? Okay, okay.
Hi there.
Hi, Pedro. Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So please tell us about yourself and the idea that you've been thinking about.
So the email I sent out with Google Forms was that I'm currently doing my Bachelor of Science, and I'm finishing up my degree in chemistry. But what I've been doing to the side, what I've been doing at the side for a very long time is I've been a back-end developer as well. I've been doing that for the past 3.5 years officially, and I've worked with some companies in Canada, I've worked with a few in the US, and mainly now most of them are in the US. Yeah, it's this whole idea with the whole entrepreneurship is really cool because I've talked to a lot of students in Concordia, and they've definitely had a lot of ideas, and they've never had an outlet to give out, to put them out into the wild. So I totally support this idea, this whole Innovation Launchpad.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And as I've to all of you. I've emailed you. We will be having more one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
But this is for all of us to meet everybody and get to know each other.
Mhm.
So the next one on my screen I see is Fatima. Fatima, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. I'm doing IT in Concordia, and it's my 3rd year. And I don't have any idea. I joined this course to learn more about to start a business. Like, I want to start a business after degree, but I didn't know like how to get a startup. So I joined this group so I can, get an idea.
That's absolutely fine. This is what we're here for. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the next one on my screen, how do I, oh, there, I can look at it here. Okay. I don't see other students who were here, but I think they left. Maybe they have a class or something. So I guess that is it for today. And
sorry, Isha, could we perhaps ask, just not to miss anybody, could we ask, is there any other student around that we don't see here? Perhaps not, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that we are not leaving anybody behind here.
But thank you all for joining us. And Manfred, do you have a few words to say before we end this call?
Well, I want to greet everyone here and say that our pleasure to be doing this for the 2nd time now. And I see colleagues here from the administration. I see professors, students, and also guests. And it is really something very important that Concordia is embarking with. Not only growing a lot in the research component, but also in applied research onto entrepreneurship, and that our Concordia tech centers, the 3 tech centers here, are growing in this sense. I have recently read a report that the startups are key to recovery, global recovery, and they were $3 trillion business, and so forth. But so it is good to see that students are interested in the idea, if they don't have an idea yet, to do business, their own business. So thank you, Isha. I would like to thank all of you to be here. Thank you to the CIAR to put this together. The colleagues here, deans and associate VP Ramses, and all of you. Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what comes out. It was really exciting to see the showcase this year, even online. It was really nice. So bon vent, we say in French, means wish you a good wind in the sails forward.
Thank you, Manfred. And thank you, everyone. So we will call off the event now, and I wish all of you a good rest of your day, and we'll be in touch soon.
Sure. Thanks, Isha.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.